G'day. I'll be honest, I'm a little hard on Deathloop, mostly because Dishonored 1, 2, and Prey each offer significant improvements from the last in terms of level design and player freedom. Then comes along Deathloop, which ended up being a lot more hand-holdy than any prior game of Arkane's. It's even more linear in a gameplay aspect than Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. But, confusingly, it's a masterpiece in the eyes of others. Now, look, obviously different people have different tastes and that's fine, and I'm not against Arkane making a different game in general. I mean, I'm all for hearing opposing opinions and exposing myself to other works that I normally wouldn't pay any mind to. That exposure to new and different works is how stories like Disco Elysium and Rumblefish became so loved for me. Even a game like This Is the Police didn't exactly appeal to me when I looked at the screenshots and the trailer for it, but then when I played the game, I got to experience a game that mostly I thought was okay, but the soundtrack was a fucking banger, and that was my introduction essentially to jazz music as a genre, and it's now something that I listen to on a semi-regular basis. But back to Deathloop, the strange part for this game's release last year came from people trying to seemingly convince others that this was an incredibly open-ended and non-linear experience unlike anything Arkane had developed before. Almost as if people forgot that they had made actual non-linear experiences before. The hand that leads you through this game can never be let go of. From minute one, you are railroaded down a specific path and even railroaded into a single path for the conclusion. The only freedom at your disposal is weapon choice, power choice, going loud or remaining quiet, and two visionaries who have more than one way of being killed. And when I say more than one way, I don't mean kill them stealthily from behind or headshot them. I mean there's a bit of a unique way to go about killing them. Not exactly a whole lot of freedom for a game that seemed to be sold by some outlets as being Arkane's best work and the culmination of everything they'd learned. I'll forever maintain though that the visuals are great, the music and style of the world is groovy as fuck, and the voice acting for Colt and Juliana is absolutely top notch. Some of my favorite performances. But man, after finishing Prey a couple of weeks after finishing Deathloop, so many aspects felt like a massive leap backwards. Even during playing, I wasn't really feeling the game, but playing Prey afterwards just really solidified that feeling. Deathloop felt like a chore before even the halfway point, and it was mostly an obligation that I just finished the game I paid full price for that kept me going. Prey I wanted to experience again as soon as the credits stopped rolling. It was during this second playthrough that I thought about giving Deathloop a second chance. See, the thing with Prey is that it has some of the most enjoyable and well-designed levels in gaming. Everything about the game excels at immersing you in the world and making it feel lived in, as if other people were also living in this world before all the shit went down. And something I thought would increase the level of immersion and thus the enjoyment was switching off objective markers. It's a great way to play the game. If you ever forget what you're doing or where you're supposed to be going specifically, you have the objectives menu and the map respectively, but there's something special about being able to navigate the world naturally using signs, piece together who worked at what workstations and what computers they were using based on the names of the people in an area, and just really take a moment to breathe the world in without having objective markers pestering you to attend a certain location. I figured this could be a way to get more enjoyment out of Deathloop. Unfortunately though, Deathloop's design does not allow this same level of immersion, nor does the level design in general feel like the same amount of attention and care was given. Without objective markers, you're essentially flying blind. There are no street signs to follow, no named NPCs that own specific terminals or work in specific areas and thus have a key card to swipe from them or anything like that. Nothing to immerse you in the world and allow a natural exploration. All you get for some guidance are floating words that might hint at an alternate path into an area or point to you to jump through this particular window. What Deathloop relies on if you plan to play without markers is memorizing only a few select locations and the 1 or 2 pathways into each. Experimentation is quite limited as is. You basically have a quiet entrance or the front entrance, and in most of the levels, neither are particularly hard to get to because the AI are so brain dead most of the time. Arkane themselves have stated that the game used to be much less reliant on holding the player's hand earlier on in development, but I do wonder if the abundance of markers and tutorial screens were the only additions that were added when players complained about it being complicated, or if the level design in general also had to be severely dumbed down to accommodate for the casual audience. It's a damn shame. Immersive sims are always such unique experiences when made with love for the art. Arkane have shown a mastery in this genre with previous titles. A new video from IGN ponders the question if Deathloop is still a masterpiece. The better question to ask would be why anyone thinks it was in the first place. And that's a genuine question from me. I would love to hear from people in the comments as to why they think it's a masterpiece or why they think it's one of Arkane's best games. Would absolutely welcome that. So for anyone thinking about trying Deathloop, or people who have only played it out of Arkane's games, go play their other games, please. They are just brilliant. If you loved Deathloop, but didn't really enjoy its simplicity, and you felt like it held your hand too much, or if you didn't like Deathloop at all, especially the simplicity and the hand-holdiness, I still think you should give Arkane's other games a go because they are true masterpieces. Until the next video, have a good one.